chapter 6, for what is man profited if he shall gain the whole world and lose his own soul? Taken literally from Matthew 16. In like manner, the passage in his epistle to the people of Smyrna, in which he asserts of Jesus that he was baptized by John in order that all righteousness might be fulfilled by him, reminds one of Matthew 3:15. For thus it becometh us to fulfill all righteousness. In the letter to the Romans chapter 7, he writes, I want the bread of God, the bread of heaven, and the bread of life, which is the body of Jesus Christ, the Son of God. And I want the draught of God, the blood of Jesus, which is imperishable love and eternal life. Compare this with the chapter of John. I am the bread which came down from heaven. I am the bread of life, verse 51, and the bread that I will give in my flesh, verse 54. Whosoever eateth my flesh and drinketh my blood have eternal life. To the Philadelphians he writes in chapter 7, what if some wish to lead me astray after the flesh, but the spirit is not enticed, he is from God. He knows wherever he cometh and whither he goeth, and he bringeth to punishment that which is hidden. These verses have as their basis John 3:6-8. While the last clause grows out of the 20th verse, where these allusions of Ignatius to Matthew and John are mere isolated phenomenon, and one which would be adverse to other points in this discussion, and which no doubt rest, they would not have decisive weight. But so far from militating against other points of evidence, they are in full agreement with them, particularly in the view of the fact that at the time when the letters were written, between 107, the date generally assigned, and 115, they contain references to the two of the most important of the four Gospels. Very important evidence there. Just going to have a drink. See what time we're on here. Just be with you in 1 second. I'm just having a break for a minute. Just feel free to just have a break just for a minute. I really enjoy this kind of stuff. I really love it, and I just like reading this kind of material, and I understand this stuff more than I do cosmology. So we got yeah, so I understand this more. I understand it more than cosmology. That's what I think anyway. So what I'm doing now is I'm just going to find out so we're 51 minutes in to this program, and I'm going to just continue for a little bit while longer because it's a very important topic, and you've been given a lot of scholarship to reflect on there and to think about. So let's continue. Tischendorf says the letter of Polycarp to the Philippians connects itself most closely with those of Ignatius. According to his own testimony, it was written very soon after the martyrdom of Ignatius, that is, between 107 and 115. It contains very brief quotations from Matthew, as for example in chapter 2, think on the Lord, how he said, judge not, that you be not judged. Matthew 7:1, forgive, and it shall be forgiven you, similar to Matthew 6:14. Be merciful, that you may obtain mercy, compare Matthew 5-7. And with what measure you meet, it shall be measured to you. Again, a literal quotation from Matthew 7:2. And blessed are the poor, that they which are persecuted for righteousness' sake, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Taken almost verbatim from Matthew 5:3 and 10, further, etc. So he goes on, Tischendorf, to show more quotes from these early church fathers. He goes, special weight must be ascribed to the passage in which Polycarp's letter, which clearly manifests the use of the first epistle of John. Polycarp writes, for everyone who does not confess that Jesus Christ is come in the flesh is an antichrist. In John 4:3, the passage runs, every spirit that confesseth not that Jesus is come in the flesh is not of God, and this is the spirit of Antichrist. The importance of this use by Polycarp of the Epistle of John is based upon this, that although the heroes of doubt bring into suspicion even that which is really indisputable, the Epistle and the Gospel of John are shown by their essential unity of incident and language to have necessarily had the same author. Thus the use of the Epistle argues the use of the Gospel as well. I have shown above from Polycarp's intimate relationship to John how valuable in his testimony it has such great weight as scarcely to allow a word to be uttered in disavowal of the writings which he confirms. The unworthy skill of modern scholars has not shrunk, however, from setting aside the fact of Polycarp's testimony and unnerving its strength. A writer of much acuteness says, we are not compelled to regard the words of Polycarp as an actual quotation from John, for that may have been a sentence which had come into circulation, in which the church may have been committed to paper by John just as well as by Polycarp, without compelling the later to learn it from the former. Before this conjecture had been brutened, which I don't know what that means, a fellow believer had fallen upon another way out of the difficulty. Can the thing not be reversed? May not the author of the Johannine Gospel, which is a little genuine, as so much else that has for 2,000 years received the reverent homage of Christendom, may not this false John have cited as well from Polycarp? It requires a great deal of courage to give utterance to such an idle fancy, yet there are men of learning who are not lacking in this courage. But the universal and radical medicament which must be relied on at the last admits in this instance of double application. If the Gospel of John can be thrown overboard so easily, the Epistle of Polycarp can not so easily be disposed of. Polycarp then did not write the Epistle, yet the disciples of Polycarp, Irenaeus, believed and gave his witness to just the contrary. But there are never lacking spacious grounds for false position. The professors of the 19th century have the art of putting out of sight even in Irenaeus and his followers. The attack on the authenticity of Polycarp's epistle is all the more worth refuting. If successful, it does away no less with the genuineness of Ignatius' epistles, all the more troublesome if they are to be accepted in the limits which Polycarp and Eusebius assigned to them. On this account, the latest outbreaks of critical presumption and audacity have been directed against the whole Polycarp-Ignatius literature. What one of these critical hearers does not venture, another does. One goes to work more in root and branch and fashion, and another more artistically.